Okay, well, welcome everyone to our distance learning virtual meeting / monthly fine arts meeting that we're going to be having at least to start the school year. I'm Elizabeth Mon. I'm the Director of Fine Arts at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. I'm happy to see all of you. I hope today's meeting will give you some encouragement or just some other folks that you can talk to who kind of understand the problems that you're facing a bit more maybe than other folks in your building. Today's meeting will be about an hour. I will try to talk quickly through the first half so that we can get to the subject-specific discussion later on that I know everyone would like to get to and hear from the people in your own discipline area. So first thing we're going to do is a little check-in, and this link is in the agenda. If you got to this bit.ly link in your browser, you can just click on the little blue Poll Everywhere tab, and that should take you to it. If it doesn't, then you can also type it in on your phone if you'd like to do it separate from your computer. So the site that you need to type in on your phone browser would be pollev.com / Elizabeth MAU 956. But you can also access this by clicking in the agenda. So the first question, how are you feeling today? One word, multiple words, however you'd like to respond. Excited and stressed out. I think some folks are probably going between those two all the time. I can see that. A little tired. Spicy, it's a great word. A couple of us are overwhelmed. Hopefully today, at least talking to some other people might make you feel a little bit better. Ready to start. Yeah. I think some of it is just getting going. We need to get going. First day today. Congratulations. I know there were a couple school districts starting today, so you made it through. I hope your feet aren't too sore. Nervous, excited, catching up. Lots of things. Okay, we've got a couple questions. So if you didn't get to this first one, you can get to the next one. Performances, yes. I'm sure a lot of you have seen on social media, there's been a few outdoor performances where they've spaced people out with rock bands and things. I think that would be wonderful, live performance. Okay, next question is, what are your concerns for your classroom this year? So this might be a few more words than just one, but feel free to share. Hopefully we'll get you some answers maybe during the second half of our meeting today. The flow. And space. Learning Canvas, yeah, that's a big one. Learning those online platforms. Assignments, online learning. Yeah, our classes are so much, we're all about human relation and working together and common goals. And if you're online, at least to start the year, that's going to look very, very different. Huge class sizes. Yeah, that's a typical Oklahoma concern, I think. Unfortunately. Yeah, how to keep things going when we can't do what we normally do. I think that's a big concern for arts educators everywhere. Okay, last question. Maybe I can get it to change. There we go. Something positive that you've learned coming up to this school year. So maybe it's something new in tech, new teaching strategies, something you've learned personally about yourself that's maybe helpful. Positive things. Yeah, Seesaw and Bitmojis. I had seen Seesaw in action before this, but I wish I was teaching so I did get to learn it, because I know there are some cool things in there that you can use even when you're face to face. I mean, yeah, we're all first year teachers. You all are first year teachers, so you can do it. Just got to trust yourself. Canvas discussions, yeah. Video lessons. I think those video lessons, if you're saving those, and especially if you're not saying dates in your video lessons, they can be part of your sub plans in the future for a long time. I mean, this will completely change what you leave behind for a sub, as long as the sub knows how to push play. Sometimes I had subs who couldn't push play. Understanding Canvas, yes. Yeah, starting new, getting things going. This is a really hard year. If you're in a completely new building, goodness, I'm sending you all the good vibes and thoughts. New position or new building. This is a tough year to do that. But you can do it. We can all do it. Yeah, the sharing has been really incredible between teachers, I think, and then also between professionals and the teachers. There's so many folks who are willing to give you a hand if you ask right now, especially in our performance worlds where those folks can't work at the moment. So yeah, we are extremely durable. Yes. This will not break us. We'll get through it. And things will be better. Okay, thank you all for sharing. I'm going to see if I can get back out of this, maybe. There we go. Okay, so going back to the agenda, what can you expect today? We're going to do a little overview of the Return to Learn Fine Arts guidance that was just released this afternoon onto the SDE's website. And then I'm going to share a tech tool with you that I'm excited about that I think could be helpful, maybe. And then some discipline-specific discussions for the school year. And so you'll be able to talk with people in your field and get some ideas and questions answered, etc. So if you want to look at the presentation, you can click on this link in the agenda and pull it up. And I already have it pulled up here. So every single discipline area did Return to Learn guidance that just came out today. And I know for a few of you that have already started school, it was a little too late, but maybe you can still pick some things up from this and it will help you as you start the year and go through the year. And these are just designed for support. This is not a have to, it's not a mandate. And especially when it comes to the safety guidance, if your district is asking you to go above and beyond, then by all means go above and beyond or follow whatever they're asking you to do. Consult with them before saying, well, wait a minute, this is XYZ. Check it out with them. So every single subject area did Return to Learn guidance, including us. We're in the pink there. We did pre-K through 12 along with a few other subject areas just because a lot of us teach multiple grade spans in multiple buildings, et cetera. It just doesn't make sense for us to pull out high school from middle school, et cetera. The table of contents here gives you a few of the high points in the document, and you can go through and read to your heart's content about all of this. The first section's on standards and pacing. I didn't focus on this so much because a lot of you are lucky enough to see this almost the same kids every year, or you might have had a lot of your kids last year at the end of the year. So because of that, we're blessed, and you know what gaps maybe exist, or you know the exact teacher that they came from and you know what they didn't get to. So that's one section. Instructional routines and blended or distance learning. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that in a moment. Classroom assessment, there's a small portion on that. It's so different with every arts area that, again, I didn't put a lot of information in there, but one key thing that I think our elementary folks are going to need to think about if they're doing online distance learning is how to assess 500 to 700 to 1,000 kids online. So if you're a visual art teacher especially, I know that maybe in the past you looked at their artwork and now I don't know that there's any way for you to get a photograph of their artwork and see what they're doing, etc. So that's a conversation you need to have with administration. I'm sure a lot of you have already been thinking about that. How on earth are you going to assess so many kids at a distance? That's something you could also talk about here in a moment with your subject area folks. Connections, integration with other disciplines. There's not a whole lot of information on that, but I'm sure all of you have heard the buzzword arts integration, so there's a little bit there. Social emotional well-being for you and your students. I think both of you may need some extra care this year. And then we have a section on equity and inclusion, just with everything that's been happening in our country and our move towards trying to address some of the social injustice that's been going on through the years. Safety considerations is a big section in here. We'll talk about that more in a moment. And then there's some support for instruction and contact info. So the first big section I want to highlight here is the blended or distance learning and how that looks different from in-person to online. And if you go to page 4 in the overall document, which is right here, it's the second link, then that's where you can find the information. Page 4. So there's a chart there that kind of shows you, here's what it could look like if you're distance compared to in person. And then right after that, I have some information. Back in July, we had a webinar with Kelly Bisogno. She's from Virginia, and she did a visual art remote learning strategies webinar. It was visual art, but she had some great strategies that apply to all arts areas. Like one of the things she recommended was that you keep in mind the reading level of your students, because, which I hadn't really thought about, but it's true. I mean, a lot of kids can't read the words that we might put in front of them or the complex sentences that we use verbally. So different tips and tricks like that. And I have that linked in this strategies document here. She's taught online art for a number of years for like an online academy. So she had some great ideas. And then I had a table here that I added in that's middle school drama theater, applies to a few of you, that maybe compares how you would do an analog, in-person, no-tech lesson compared to online. So I just did a monologue project / unit where you'd have the students meeting in person and here's what it would look like. And then the students who are online, here's possibly what it could look like. So it's just a compare, contrast, maybe will help you think through things as you try to figure out what it will look like between the two areas. And I believe some folks might be asked to teach both at once, both in person and online. So that's something you'll need to think about. Then the next section I wanted to highlight was the digital tools. We have an amazing director of educational technology here at the agency. We didn't have this position a year ago, and we took her from the public schools and stole her and put her here. Karen Leonard is her name, and I'm sure a lot of you work with your computer tech person in your building, and she's just one of those people who knows the answer to everything. And if she doesn't, she'll go find it and tell you. So if I have a problem with Google Forms or anything, she can tell you the answer almost immediately. So she has a separate document that's launching instruction with digital tools that you can visit. And she also has done webinars throughout the summer on a whole bunch of different digital tools. So Screencastify and Padlet and all those different ones that you might have heard about, she did webinars for. And they were super helpful and informative. She just goes through step by step on how to set up an account, what you can do, how it assesses students if that's possible, all those different things. So you might check out the digital tools section in my document, and there's a link directly to that at the bottom of page 7. So if you scroll down there, there's that link. So that goes to Karen Leonard's tech document, and then she has links out to those webinars and all sorts of different things for help. So if you're looking for that, definitely explore that resource. And the last area, which I think a lot of us are concerned about, is the safety considerations for all the different arts areas. The safety considerations are at the end of the Return to Learn guidance, and it includes all 4 disciplines, but for the most current information on safe singing, playing, wind instruments and brass instruments, and acting, projecting the voice, I'd really refer to that aerosolization study that I'm sure all of you are aware of. And we'll see here. Ah, look, they've added a visual. This just came out. So they have an infographic that they just released today. It looks like Arts Ed NJ helped them with that. So there's some key things to keep in mind there. And then they were going to do a one-page, yeah, their second round of recommendations, the one-pager is coming out soon. So if you'd rather not wade through all of their information, then that will be coming. The nice thing about the YouTube presentation, I watched it the other day, and they have a little bit of a long introduction, et cetera. You can skip through to where you need to go. So you might check that out if you have questions that you need answered. Let's see here. So those are the big highlights from the document. While you're looking at going back to school and all the things that that entails, I just want to point out also that I did a little revision to the standards webpage on the Fine Arts website. We have curriculum frameworks teams working to design those right now, and they contacted me and said, you know, the PDFs are a little bit of a pain to try to copy and paste into documents or into lesson plans or into whatever your administrators are asking for. So now within this page, there are PDFs, but there are also Word documents for every single one. So if you need something that's much easier to cut and paste into lesson plans or whatever you need, you can use those Word documents. And if you'd like to make posters to go up on the wall or different visuals that you can just put up on the board real quickly if the administration comes in and wants to see those things posted, you can definitely make those. Feel free to design whatever you would like and make those your own. There's no copyright on those or anything, so you can do that. You won't get in trouble. It would be great. Okay. So any questions, we can put those in the chat about the Return to Learn guidance before I move on here. Pull up the chat. Yes, you can send pictures through Canvas. So I knew the answer to that one. It's pretty flexible. Okay, if you have questions, go ahead and type those in and I will get back to this as soon as we do EdPuzzle. Yes, you do have access to the presentation. The presentation is this first under number 4, right there on the agenda. Okay, so I got to help Karen Leonard with her tech tools a few weeks ago, and she did EdPuzzle, and it blew my mind. I was just so excited. And I don't know if the rest of you use YouTube, but when I was teaching, I used YouTube all the time to show choirs, to show acting videos, to show symphonies playing, to show, anything, instrument demonstrations, all those things. And a lot of times, you know, you play the video and then you stand there, you pause it, you talk over it, you tell the kids, hey, pay attention to X, Y, Z. Then you start it again, etc. So I made one for studying Michael Giacchino, who is a composer. A lot of the kids are very familiar with his works because he's kind of the Pixar king. He's done almost all the music for all the Pixar films that have come out in the last 10 to 15 years. And then more recently, he's done the music for Jojo Rabbit. He started stepping into John Williams' shoes and doing some of Star Wars films and different things. So he's a big Hollywood composer. So this EdPuzzle is what I created for Michael Giacchino. And I always show my kids this scene from Up because it has no dialogue. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. It's a little bit sad. And you can add questions within the EdPuzzle, and you can also record your voice over the video as it's going. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this. And if you'd like to do the Screencastify on your own, you can click on this one that says Kinafo, and that should pull up a version that you could actually fill out the questions and do on your own. But you'll notice the beginning here, you'll hear my voice, but that's not me talking in person. I recorded it onto the EdPuzzle. Oh, pause, hang on. It's too far forward. Here we go. The video that you're watching has music by Michael Giacchino, the composer that we studied this week. While you're watching, answer the questions. So then over here, a question pops up, and I answered this a little bit earlier because I was experimenting with it, but it's a multiple choice. What instrument do you hear? I'm not sure my fifth graders would have gotten mariachi. Like, I'm not sure if they know that word, so maybe another word would be better, but I tried to keep all of the vocabulary and everything at their level. So you click violin, and then it comes up and says, yes, you got it. The cool thing is, if you want to go in and edit your questions, if they click on mariachi, you can put a little bubble that pops up that says, oh, try again. Like, you can redirect them and put positive things in there or silly things, etc. So then you just keep going after you answer. And then the question I had here was, what tempo best describes this music? For fifth grade, I might put something in there about tempo is, because chances are they might have forgotten what tempo is. And then I have explanations along with the Italian terms, just because, again, my students struggled with those and they may have forgotten what exactly they mean. So there's questions throughout the video that they can fill out. And then at the end, I have a little voiceover that I added that kind of talks about the end of the film. You can set these to where the students have to watch the whole video to answer the questions. They can't fast forward. And the really great thing is, if your school is using EdPuzzle, then it can integrate with Canvas or Google Classroom, and these will become assessments that will go straight into your gradebook. That's what really blew my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, so you could have them watch a symphony and tell you what they hear, etc. They had to watch the whole thing, and then it goes right in the gradebook. Of course, you could just do this as part of the lesson. Like, I would do this as part of, this is Michael Giacchino week, this is what we're discussing. You don't have to necessarily take a grade for it. The free version that doesn't integrate with those platforms, you wouldn't have grades, but I think it could still be very useful, and it pulls the videos off of YouTube so you don't have ads, you don't have all those extra things. And if you would like to video yourself, you know, to where you see your face in the corner of the screen and talking and all that, you could do that through Screencastify, video yourself, create that video, and then put that video into EdPuzzle, and then you'd have yourself interrupting, adding thoughts, etc. in the middle of the video. So if you'd like to learn more about EdPuzzle, you should go to Karen Leonard's tech document and pull up her webinar. She explains everything step by step in detail. So it's really helpful. Great tool to kind of use YouTube as a teaching option. So any questions about that before we go in? Let's see here. How do we access the standards posters? The posters, you could create those on your own if you go to this website here, because that will pull up all the Word documents. So, I mean, you would have to cut and paste into, you know, like a Google slide or something and print it out large format, but you could do that. I do believe the visual art folks have some plans to maybe make some posters and get those out to members. So if you're a visual art person, stay tuned for that. And Sarah, would you like to say hi and test your mic real quick before we?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yay. Okay, thanks.
Oh yeah, using Clever. Does EdPuzzle work with that? I am not certain, but the person who would know Michelle is Karen Leonard, and you can email her. She will answer all sorts of tech questions. She's extremely helpful, and her email information is in that tech document. So yeah, feel free to reach out. All right, so I popped into a few discussions. It seemed like, if nothing else, you were able to talk things through. Maybe you didn't find answers yet, but hopefully you were able to talk to some folks and figure out a few things, different ways to approach problems. I don't want to keep you any longer than our time here. So if you need to get in contact with me, my email's there on the screen. I also pulled up, this is our Director of Education Technology, Karen Leonard, and this is her email address here for the SDE. And she's pretty quick about responding to things. We are not working in the office. We're at home. I am in the office today. It's very exciting, but most of the time we're at home. So you're better off to email her if you've got tech questions or questions about whether tools will work together, all those sorts of things. That is her email address there. It's also in that tech document that I shared before. And if you have questions for me, feel free to email anytime. I'm also on social media, and I try to find useful things to share on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So if you're not following me or the Fine Arts page on Facebook, then it might be worth your time. Hopefully things that I share are worthwhile. And then the Fine Arts website is linked here. And then there's also the monthly newsletter, which I think all of you on the call probably received because that's how you got the password to be in this meeting. But if you know of new teachers in your district that have brand new school email addresses, we don't get those at the SDE until the end of November. So they will not be getting newsletters or any information from the State Department until then. So if you know of those folks, forward this to them, ask them to sign up, or you can just sign them up yourself and then they will be ready to go and already in the loop, etc. Okay, so I think we might have a few questions. Yes, CARES Act. Yes, the CARES Act funding can pay for arts kits and other things going back to school. It's just whether your district wants to use that money for arts kits and things going back to school. So they may have already spent most of their funding on Chromebooks and hotspots and maybe cameras for classrooms or whatever it is that they're doing. So it might be that the money is gone, but if not, then yeah, you could definitely use that funding for that. CARE Act, music kits. Yes, the same thing. The CARES Act, I think, could also buy music kits for the kids, but it's, you know, it's the same old discussion that a lot of us have with administrators when we try to get textbooks or we try to get kilns or whatever it is. We're sometimes at the lowest end of the rope by the time the funding comes to the arts. So it might not work out that you get that money for it, but you can definitely ask. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michelle, it might be gone, perhaps, unfortunately. Any other questions? I know it's a difficult time. The fact that all of you came says a lot, and you're hanging in there. One thing, Jennifer, with the Arts Council, I see you're on the call. Are you still doing the supply grants this year?
We are. They are open now. So if anyone has a current login to our system, you can go ahead and apply for that. And the deadline is September 15th. If you don't have a login, you can find that all. Let me see. Put that. There's a little link in the chat. Perfect. So you can read all about it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. So if you saw it last year, that was the first year of the supply grants, and it's only one person per building, I believe. So yes. If
one grant per building, you can split between disciplines, but yes, one grant per school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry,
yeah, that's perfect. And Jennifer is super helpful. She will answer all of your questions. So if you are looking for funding, that might be a really good place to go. Will Canvas connect to the standards? I don't think so, but since I do have the Word versions on there, at least you can copy and paste. And you could put a link to the PDFs. I mean, if your administration just needs to see them in your system, you could do that there. Oh, Lori says yes, it will. Lori's got it. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Thank you all so much for coming. Yeah, if you don't have a current login, just email Jennifer. She's on that webpage, I'm sure, or she's somewhere on the Oklahoma Arts Council page, and she'll help you out. Yeah. You'll need the first step of applying is to get the login for Arts Council things. So that's what you'll need to do. Lori, I think, is holding up a sign. And you can request a login. Oh, Bank First. That's another grant program. Perfect. Yeah, and there are also some under resources on the Fine Arts webpage. I have listed a few that are always come up every year that maybe you could look to for funding as well. Yeah. Okay, well, it's 5 o'clock. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. And we may be meeting up again second Thursday in September. So watch for that. That'll be coming in the future. And good luck as you start the school year. Stay healthy, wash your hands, all those things. Hang in there. You're doing great. Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Have a great evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your help.